What is going on, everybody? My name is Bearridge and welcome to a FIFA 21 formation review. Today we're going to be looking at Air Japes' 4-3-3 second variation. Going to run through the custom tactics, the player instructions, talk about what I think about the formation itself, having used it in the weekend league, and talk about what players I think you should be looking to put in each position if you want to use this formation yourself. As you can see on the screen, this is the team that I used this weekend in FUT Champs. I'm not going to spoil how well I got on, so if you want to know how well I got on, go and check out the last video that I posted up on my channel to see the first part. The first thing I will say is that this formation is not a meta formation. Meta obviously standing for most effective tactics available. If you are a very, very good player, you can use these tactics to get you good results in the weekend league. Air Japes himself finished Elite 1 for the past 2 weekends using these tactics. This is, however, a fun formation. You can play super quick, counter-attacking football, and you can also play possession-based. So it suits all styles of play and is good for mixing it up if one of them isn't working. What I found personally since using it is that it has helped me become a better player on this game. It requires you to be good at passing, you have to be pinpoint, and it requires you to be good at defending because of how attacking this tactic is. If you aren't careful, you can get counter-attacked very, very easily. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the custom tactics and we're going to have a look at Air Japes' tactics themselves. So as you can see, for the defensive style, we have press after possession loss. I really enjoyed using this. It was great for nicking the ball off my opponent if they were passing around their back too much. The amount of times where my opponent didn't play the ball out quick enough and I was able to jump in and steal the ball from them and then go on and score a goal was enough for it to be noticeable. And I definitely preferred playing this more aggressive style than the passive style that I've been forced into playing the last couple of years. The defensive width is 4. Obviously, this is quite a wide formation, so you want to use the width to narrow it in slightly so that you can have your wingers come inside. The depth is 10, and you don't need to be a pro FIFA player to know that that is very high. This paired with the press after possession loss means that you win the ball very high up the field a lot, and it allows you to maintain a high amount of possession and keep your opponent boxed in. However, it does also mean that you can get countered very, very easily and you'll be scrambling to try and keep your opponent out from scoring a goal. The offensive style is balanced, and I think this is just the best one to use, to be honest. It allows you to play it short, play it long, and just mix it up. I think it helps with the balance of the play. And there you go. Balance of the play, balanced play style. Width for the offense is also 4, same reason. It's a wide formation. You want to narrow it just a little bit so that we can keep it a little bit more compact in the center. Your players are going to be quite wide anyway. Players in the box is on 7. This is quite high as well. It's good for getting your striker into the box, get your wingers into the box, your centre mids also getting in there so that there are crosses available, so that there are passes available, so that you can turn the defender and score goals. In this formation, having this set to 7 definitely works very, very well. Corners and free kicks are personal preference. You can do whichever you want. Japes has them set to 2. I have had them set to 2 as well. If you have them lower, then it means that you are less susceptible to counter-attacks, but obviously it means that there are less people in the box. Personally, from corners, I play it short anyway and I try and pass it in, because even though crossing and headers are more viable this year, I'm finding that I'm having more luck still just playing it short, and it's a little bit of a hit and hope from corners. If I'm whipping it in from free kicks, again, I'm playing it short. I'm laying players off the ball, doing the fake shooting to make them do their runs, and then passing it into them, try and score that way. So again, I'm not kicking the ball in for players to header. Let's talk about the instructions of the players. For the striker, we have them set on false 9. Now what that does is it makes the striker drop into the space, and that will mean that they will come back into the midfield if need be, but it means that they keep moving from side to side and up and down in order to find space for you to pass it into them. You don't need them set on getting behind, because if you set them on getting behind, it means you only have one option. If you want them to make a run in behind, you can press L1 to trigger it and they'll make that run for you. It's definitely a good option having them on false 9, because it gives you another option when you're building up the play, and it allows them to distribute it off to the wingers. For the wingers, we do have them set to getting behind. We want them to make runs down the side so we can play through balls with our right back or left back into them and have that wide option. We then have them set on cut inside so that they then come in and then they can either play the ball into the middle or take a finesse shot from the edge of the box. Alternatively, you can have them on free roam. It really does depend on the player that you are using. It's up to you. You might find that this works better for you, but you may also find that you have players a little bit out of position at times, which is why I chose to use the cut inside so that I still had a little bit of structure to my team. But it's definitely an option that you could use to get a similar effect. Both the centre mids are on balanced everything. Don't touch anything on them. Leave them as they are. You want them to get forward and you want them to come back. So just leave them and let them do their thing. We'll talk about what sort of players you want to use in each of those positions in just a second. For your defensive mid, you want them on stay back whilst attacking so that you have one player that will sit in front of the two centre backs and give you an extra level of support defensively. You want them to be on cover centre so that you have the player that's in the middle. The other two centre mids are on cover wings, so they will do the wide work, and you need one player to do the inside the middle of the pitch work. And then you want to pair this up with man mark. This is great for countering the 4-2-3-1. It will make your defensive midfielder sit directly on their cam, takes them out of the game, and it stops them creating options and they have to find another way round. If they're playing a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-2-2, what you can do is change the CDM to cut passing lanes, and therefore you don't need that player to be directly in the center. You need them to go between the two strikers and prevent them from having their link up play. If you're using the normal instructions, I would leave them on balance completely. I know a lot of people would say that you want to put them on stay back whilst attacking, but if you're playing against a 4-2-3-1, that extra width is great. It gets them into the attack a bit. It gives you a little bit more of a attacking option if you need, but you do need to be careful, again, to make sure that you don't get counter-attacked. If you're playing against a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-2-2, then I would recommend that then you put them on stay back whilst attack, and that gives you a little bit more structure and stops you getting beaten so much on the wings. On the wings, you want players with high work rates. Players like Bernardo Silva, Heung-min Son will be excellent in those positions. If you're on a bit more of a budget, then look for players like Ousmane Dembele or, like I have here, Bamba. I also think Rules Breaker, Çalhanoğlu could also be quite good, but he's medium work rates. If you have a different winger in your team already, then I'm not saying it doesn't work with high work rates. Mohamed Salah for me has high-medium. He did a good job for me this weekend in that role, and I would definitely use him in this formation again. So it's not an essential thing, but it definitely helps with the balance of the team. The striker is probably the most important position in the team. If you have coins, this is the position that you want to invest them into. He is the player that needs to be able to do it all. He needs to have good dribbling, good shooting, good passing, and he has to have a decent amount of pace and a decent amount of physicality. If you can afford them, Cristiano Ronaldo, Kylian Mbappe, and Neymar will obviously be the best players in this position, and they will do an absolute job for you. I also think the Rule Breakers Harry Kane will be a very good card here now that he has the extra pace and the extra dribbling. His shooting might have been knocked down a little bit, but it's still really nice, and he still has good passing as well, and obviously good physicality. If you're on a budget, then I think players like Depay, who I have here, Dybala, or Ousmane Dembele would also play this role really well. If you're sort of in that medium range where you're not really on a budget, but you can't afford these bigger players, someone like Aubameyang would be really good. He doesn't have amazing passing, but he has good pace, and he just has all the really good shooting stats that you could possibly ask for, all the really desirable ones. He has all the traits. He has everything that you need. So on FIFA, Aubameyang is a really nice card to pick up. In centre midfield, you need one player that is slightly more attacking, and then you need one player that is a little bit more box to box. Again, I would recommend that both the players have high work rates. They help speed up the transition, get your midfielders into the box or into passing positions to help you with your build-up, but also it helps them get back and defend when you're being countered so that you're not left without a midfield. For the more attacking centre mid, I'd recommend players like Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes or Christian Eriksen. I have Wijnaldum here. Again, if you're on a budget, great player. He has done amazingly for me this weekend and I would definitely recommend him. For the more box-to-box midfielder, I'd recommend, if you've got a big budget, go and pick yourself Icon Balak. That was one of the 3 key players that Japes recommended in his video. You also have inform Renato Sanchez and rules breaker 9 Golan, who I think would be really nice. If you're on a budget, then you have players like Fred, Valverde or Llorente, who are very good at getting forward, but also doing that defensive job for you. And then in CDM, Japes used inform Thomas Partey because he packed his one to watch and he recommended him. He said that he would have rather used Kante, but because he's got Partey untradeable, it didn't make sense to him to spend the money on Kante. If you prefer the faster players and you can't afford Kante, De Jong is amazing with a shadow. He has 90 sprint speed and he cut the balls out all the time, all weekend, made amazing tackles for me, did a fantastic job. So he was a great player. You can also use Alan from Everton, or you could use rule breaker Andre, who you can see I have in this team in the other role. I actually would prefer him in the CDM role. I don't think he did that box-to-box role very well because of his low shooting. For the left backs and right backs, Japes used Florenzi and Tellez. I have Florenzi on my bench and I had to keep bringing him on for Mukiele. He did a fantastic job for me, Florenzi. I definitely recommend him. I didn't find that his lack of pace was a problem. And going off that, I found that his creative abilities were much more valuable, which is why I would recommend players like Trent Alexander-Arnold or Robertson as your fullbacks. Semedo, Walker and Mendy will also do really well for you. I use Kamara. I really like Rule Breakers Kamara. He was really good for me this weekend. Mukiele did a job for me. If you have him, then yes, you can definitely use him in this formation. I really enjoyed him, but I wouldn't recommend him. Even though it shows that he has high agility and high balance, his height just makes him feel a little bit too clunky for me going forward and coming back. And even though he has really good pace, he was the one that got caught out a lot. And then for the centre-backs, you can use basically whoever you want. If you want to pick up lots of wins, then you have to use Van Dijk, Gomez, Varane. But basically just use whoever gets you chemistry. Try and use maybe one player that's a little bit taller, a little bit stronger, and not so fast. And then use another player next to them that's a little bit smaller, a little bit quicker, that can chase the ball back and try and cut out the counter-attacks. So there you have it. These were Japes' tactics and instructions for the 4-3-3 second variation. I would 100% recommend you try out this formation. It is aggressive, but it is a lot of fun. I've tried to add gameplay where I can so that you can see me using the formation in action, but if you want to get a better idea of me using it, go check out my previous videos on the channel. I'll leave an info card in the top right corner so that you can go straight there. You can see more gameplay. I used this formation all weekend. I didn't touch any of my other ones and I had a lot of fun doing it. So I hope you enjoyed this slightly different video. Let me know if you'd like me to do more formation reviews of other people's custom tactics. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Bearridge and I will catch you all next time.